Now if you're new to squid fishing, or you know what you're doing and you just want a few more tips, stick around. I'll take you through a few tricks to maximize your catches on calamari. I've got a massive one on here. A nice sunny early spring day, a little bit of chop on the water from a residual wind. Shouldn't really make a difference and give you a nice drift in this direction. We're going to go Iggy fishing for squid. I'm going to put this colour on to start with, Yamashita. This has been working alright for me in the shallow water. We're only in about 2.5 inches at the moment. We're going to aggressively work the squid jig in the shallows and hopefully get a few squid. Have a good day, guys. Enjoy. One squid here and a mate just down behind. Let's see if we can get the mate. Oh, it's a big squid. Nice one. Yep, got him. There we go. Hey guys, welcome back to another drift video. We're going squidding today. I'm going to take you through some tips to show you how to maximize your catches and get more squid. Now generally when I see people squid fishing, they tend to either employ floats and drag and drift, which does catch squid, particularly if they are shut down and timid. A gently fluttering squid jig will work quite well. But another way when they are a little bit more active is to actually entice the bite. Now keeping a tight line to your squid jig will always let you know whether a squid's latched onto it or not, but it just means you're in the right position to feel any subtle takes on the line. Now having a proper Iggy setup will make a difference. They're generally not as fast in action as most of your full graphite rods. Having an 8-foot rod allows you to cover a lot more water than your traditional 7-foot brim rod that most people squid fish off. And also having the action in the fiberglass rod really does make a difference to working that squid jig. I use an Emeraldus on here. This is one of my favourite reels. The reason why is because it's just got a really light drag with micro clicks to be able to adjust it. That allows me to have it set at the optimum level to be able to work the squid jig, let off a little bit of line, and if there's any amount of pressure on there, like a squid's just reached out and grabbed it for a moment, you're not going to rip the tentacles off when you do an aggressive strike. There's two ways you can work the squid jig when employing the Iggy method, and that is just your vertical flick. Point your rod at the line. Once you're tight, 2, 3 or 4 vertical hops in quick succession will get that squid jig imitating a prawn and shooting off. If you want to imitate a bait fish, that's when you employ the sideways flick, like so. And what that will do is it will make it dart more in a side-to-side fashion, just like a bait fish. Another way to employ it is lifting your rod first, giving a little bit of slack, and then doing the pops, and then it's just a really fast, short motion. And that can sometimes liven up the bite. Particularly in the shallow water, the sideways darting can work quite well. I've been fishing these in the little 1.2s and 1.5s, like less than a metre, and been catching squid. Now in terms of picking what ground to cover, generally anything that's got a fair abundance of weed Normally shallow. When I say shallow, anywhere from sort of 4 to 2 meters is a good range to start. Most of the Australian coastline is generally quite prolific with squid. But another thing to keep in mind too is current. If it's a high current area, you normally won't find squid. In areas that don't really have too much current break, like this is coastal, but the tides aren't massive, there's not a big amount of current coming through here, so the squid will tend to hang out in the bays. And working them methodically with your squid jig will generally get you some good catches of squid. Now, while I have got plenty to choose from in the 3.5, I've been finding the whites and the blues been working pretty well lately. So we're going to check this one on, give that a whirl. If that doesn't work for me, then we'll go back to the tried and tested redhead. Now, if you're interested to see what squid jig to choose for different conditions, I do have a whole heap of other videos. Check those out, and that's where I compare this squid jig versus that squid jig in different conditions. So a nice little series. Make sure you get on it, check it out. Just like that. This one doesn't feel too big, but I've now moved. We're now in about 3 meters of water, so slightly deeper. I like that sort of 3 meter range. He's just a little one. We'll let him live. We've had a few catches on this one. I'm just going to try a more natural pattern. I reckon I might go this one. Give that a swim. It's got a nice rattle to it. Don't do this at home. A big fan of these Yamashita clips. Now I'm actually going smaller here. The last one was a 3.0. Just putting on a 2.5. I generally fish 2.5s in this sort of depth. They don't sink quite as fast, so you can get a bit more hang time on them. But if the squid are being a bit quiet, then you gotta try different things. Try bigger, try smaller. See what sort of mood they're in. Try different colors. Try rattle, no rattle. Until you start getting a couple. When you start getting a couple, then you know you're on a roll. Boat on the surface. Boom. That was funny. He's got a little fish. He's got a little flathead, look. He's been munching on a flathead. No, not a flathead, a little guppy thing. He's been eating well. Can't believe that squid was still eating lunch and then couldn't help himself to go and snatch something else. These things feed so hard. They only live less than a year and they get to full size in less than a year, so you know they're ferocious feeders. So I've switched over to the flash boost. Give that a little bit of a whirl. Haven't done too much fishing with them. I generally fish Yamashita, but quite a few people have been raving about them, so we've chucked one on the 2.5. That's what the last squid took, so maybe they're on bait fish today. And this is what you got to try and do, is rotate through your squid jig. It's not just, hey, I've got a squid jig, I'm going to chuck it on. Yeah, you'll catch the odd squid. But you might actually catch more if you get into that pattern and figure out what they're actually after on that day. Always pays not to bring your squid jigs out the second you get them close to the boat. Just leave them there for a second, because quite often you'll have a squid following that up right close to the boat, and then you would have missed out on that opportunity. So always give it a little burn close to the boat and then just let it sit to see what comes out and hits it. Eee. Well, they might be working the flash boost today. A lot of small squid around at the moment. I might go up to a bigger jig shortly and see if I can find a few bigger squid. Oh, I'm going to start keeping a couple of these little ones on. I felt a little touch then, just wound up the slack line, then gave it a whack, and it came and hit it straight away. And that's the advantage to keeping contact with your line. And another small one, but they are good eating at this size. Perfect live bait size, actually. Might actually go to a chartreuse colour. Used to do really well on the chartreuse. Used to be one of my favourite colours. Oh, There we go, 3 for 3. So that's definitely working for today, the flash boost, but I'll change that over. Try a big one for a little while. If I have no luck in getting the big boys, switch back onto a smaller one and have a happy day catching squid. I'm actually going to chuck this one on here. This is by a local manufacturer called Mick Jiggers with chartreuse and 3.5. Looks pretty good. Haven't given it a swim yet, so we'll give that a 12 so we can catch some bigger ones. And if you don't use the Yamashita clips for your jig heads, you should. It's just that easy to change your jigs. You're never retying, and you can switch over on the go, super fast, no hassle. Now keep in mind the bigger jigs do sink a little bit quicker, so you do have to keep on top of them a little bit more. Otherwise you're going to touch bottom, get caught, get snagged, lose a squid jig. On. It's no bigger though, it's still little, but we'll have more chance of getting a big one. There we go, on the Mick Jiggers. He's crunching it, I can feel his beak crunching it. That's hilarious. We're actually drifting in this direction here, and that's why I'm constantly winding, not to troll my lure, but just to keep contact with it in the same pace that I'm actually drifting. The best hits are the ones that just get it right on the sink. I just turned the camera off after a cast, and yeah, second it sunk, bang. And that's on the Mick Jiggers. Oh, he's only got one tentacle on it. Just the one tentacle. And they're all pretty small today. That's alright. Yeah. And that's why you want a loose drag, so that doesn't happen at the beginning. Yep, that was on it. I hadn't felt it and struck it. If I'd have tied a drag, I just would have lost that squid just then and probably not even known. God, they're all over the bigger jigs today. Well, the chartreuse was a good choice. Always used to be a good go-to. Chartreuse and the white redheads are probably the two most prolific jigs to use. One will work better than the other, and it pays to change them up just to work it out. That's why I've been running those test videos, so you can sort of see one squid jig versus another when you give the squid the option. Down deep. I actually saw that one. He's still not hooked. He's hooked now. He's legitimately just holding onto it. There's one just there too. He's a better one. And that's it, guys. Hopefully those insights will help you with your squid hunting pursuits. And as always, thanks for watching, and yeah, make sure you check out the rest in this series, and yeah, go catch some squid. Enjoy.